Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Football Tailgaters. After a long break, we're finally back, and hopefully, any consistent listeners we have out there missed us because, have no fear, we're back up and running again. But yeah, we're the Football Tailgaters, and we talk here everything about the NFL, including your picks for bets and fantasy. Today's episode, as usual, I have here with me Yams, the Jets fan, Andy, the unbiased football fan, and myself, Aaron, the Cowboys fan. And boy, it was one hell of a week one, especially for me, as a Cowboys fan, just mentioned it. We're going to talk about a few topics here today. Dak Prescott, big news with him, fractured thumb. He's going to be out around 6 to 8 weeks. Big deal. And we're going to, ask the question, does this mean for the Cowboys, is the season over for them? It was Bucks 19, Cowboys 3. That was the score. We're also going to talk about how the Vikings dominated the Packers, and is Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in trouble after their poor performance. Vikings ended up with 23 points, Packers 7. And even though the Jets took an L this past Sunday, are they poised to have a successful season? The Ravens ended up facing them, and it went over with Ravens 24 and Jets 9. And with that one, we saw why the Cowboys cut Greg Zuerlein, so and why Joe Flacco's past his prime. But we'll start with Prescott here. Very sad about that. This is just, to no one's surprise, the Cowboys were just going to flop against the Bucks. It's been talked about this whole offseason, how they have no wide receivers, their movements are questionable. Their free agency process was questionable. Everybody saw this coming, but nobody saw Dak Prescott getting injured again. And even though, before his injury, he was having a poor performance, at least I thought, everything was just awful. And that's just kind of adding salt to an open wound here with the Prescott injury. It really sucks. He won't be back around to 8 to week 10, I think, something like that. What do you guys think about that? Does this mean the Cowboy season is over?
Well, Jerry Jones, I don't know if you want to believe him, as I've called him sort of a liar before. He came out today in his radio report saying that he believes that Dak Prescott is going to be ready after 4 weeks. So that cuts it from 8 to 10 to all the way to 4, which is unbelievable. I don't know. I don't know if he's a doctor. I know he's not a doctor, but I don't know where he's getting this information. Supposedly reports are that doctors say that it does usually take 8 to 10 weeks, but these are athletes. They do rehab and they just heal faster. So it may be, I would say, 5, maybe 6 weeks for Dak Prescott to come back.
Yeah, so they're saying October 30th, at least. This is what Ian Rappaport said on Twitter yesterday. Against the Bears, or after the bye, November 13th, against the Packers.
They might wait until after the bye, just to give him another
I
week.
think it's safe, yeah. It's safe. But he did have a successful surgery, which is great for him. And it just makes me really nervous because this is very reminiscent to, at least starting to be, this is only his second injury, right, in his career in the NFL.
Well, sort of. He have his ankle, but then last year, previous to I guess the regular season, during preseason, that he didn't even practice at all is because of a quad injury. And then on it wasn't a quad injury. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. It was a shoulder injury during training. And then throughout the season against the Patriots, he injured himself in the last play when the Cowboys won the game. He did injure his quad, I believe. It's been injury.
To clarify, it's big injury here, right? But either way, this is all mainly because of the O-line. It comes back to the O-line, which has been a big trouble for the Cowboys in the past couple of years, right?
Right. They're trying to fix that with Tyler Smith, I believe. I was surprised he did play well for a left tackle.
Yeah,
for his first game.
Right sides.
Yeah, And I mean, it's going to be again maybe next year they'll draft another offensive lineman or trade for a top offensive lineman and start all over with that. I believe they did like how it worked before when they had that monster of an offensive line with Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, Tyron Smith. And I mean, Lyle Collins, I mean, a lot of people praise him. I don't praise him that much, but I mean, he was there as well. So yeah, it's just
he was better than the next man up. And the Cowboys got Jason Peters, which some may say it doesn't matter, because he's very old. Isn't he like 40 years old?
Yeah.
He's recovering from an injury, so he's in the practice squad right now, but he plans on playing kind of soonish. And he was a decent pickup for what they had. I mean, basically the only significant pickup that they've had.
And I don't know how significant you want to call it, but with Lyle Collins,
what else did they do?
No, they got the wide receiver Washington, I believe, who got injured.
Yeah, and he's injured.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Washington is going to come back, and then Gallup's going to come back. I don't know how excited you can be for this team. I wasn't excited at all. Like you said, everybody was thinking that the Cowboys didn't do any moves. So there wasn't that much of expectations this year. And to mostly nobody's surprise, they just stunk it up this last Sunday night against Tampa Bay.
Yep.
So I don't know if you guys want to think about it, but it might be like a sort of like a close, like an agenda that the Joneses have, in my opinion, because like you're saying that there's no changes in the offseason, no dramatic changes to actually try to win the Super Bowl. I mean, you did go to the playoffs last year, and you can actually continue to build like the Rams are doing, like Miami's doing, like the Buffalo Bills with Von Miller, with the Raiders with Devontae Adams, and the Cowboys didn't do any changes. So I kind of feel that the Joneses have like a secret agenda that they're rebuilding this team, in the sense that they want to, quote unquote, tank the season so McCarthy is out, and then they can either promote Dan Quinn or get Sean Payton. And it might be that they're going to be moving on from Dak Prescott. Who knows? I like Dak Prescott, but if injuries start continuing to happen, then you're going to have to move on. And there's 3 potentially good quarterbacks coming up in next year's draft.
Here's another thing, immediately one of the things that popped up when Dak Prescott got injured was the Jimmy Garoppolo trade. Is it going to happen?
Of course not. Why would 49ers give him up? Look at Trey Lance played against Chicago. He had a really bad game, and they're
committed to him
as of now. But I believe that Sean McVay, I think he does have some reins to that team, and he wants to win, so he might flip it over to Jimmy Garoppolo in the middle of the season.
Kyle Shanahan.
Sean McVay?
I'm sorry, Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, Kyle Shanahan. It's because Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, I just have much respect for both of them. So, Kyle Shanahan. I just think that he can just make the switch, and because he wants to win. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo did go to the Super Bowl. He last year they did go like deep into the playoffs, so why not?
It's not off the table. I don't think it's off the table.
For the Cowboys to trade for him or what?
Yeah. I think it's definitely possible.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, because Dak is still your quarterback for the future.
I know, but he's a backup, and he's a backup right now. What is Garoppolo doing right now? Being a backup.
I think, but I think it's a little bit of he is a backup. I'm with you there right now for the team that he has been playing for.
He's someone that would lift up the team if he would go in there, right? And if he does well, it might be a situation where they don't bring in Prescott, and if Garoppolo is hot, he can run it for the rest of the however long they go. But obviously, the Cowboys aren't really ready for a Super Bowl. That's clear to everyone, right?
Yeah, but going back to the agenda that I was saying that the Joneses might have, if the Jones family don't make any changes, like try to get a quarterback, that just proves a little bit more my agenda of prediction, because that means like you're telling your team, this season is like down the tube. Like, I'm not trying to make any upgrades so we can continue fighting for this season. and win as many games as possible when Dak Prescott comes. And that way you don't have to rush Dak Prescott back. Look at last year when Russell Wilson hurt his finger. He came back and he wasn't playing that great because his finger was still not fully healed. So even if once Dak Prescott comes back, if he can play, it's not going to be like really perfect, his hand.
What week is he scheduled to come back?
So it's all over
8
the
or
place,
10.
and that's what's really
8 to
frustrating.
10?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
all over the place. 8 to 10, they said, but then Jerry Jones said today that it might be 4 weeks.
It might. Okay. It depends on how they heal, right? Let's kind of focus on the bigger picture here is the fact that quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and even up to the fourth quarter where he's injured his finger and he left the game with 4 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, something like that.
The team was being mishandled by Tampa Bay
McCarthy.
Bucks, who, in my
No,
opinion,
McCarthy. McCarthy was just awful.
And
Stupid
Kellen Moore.
mistakes on
And
his
Kellen
part.
Moore,
And
yeah.
Kellen Moore, obviously.
in my opinion, the Tampa Bay Bucks
They
are
shouldn't have
not the
struggled.
same team they were when they won that Super Bowl, right? They're a little below their
Right.
how they
They
were.
struggled
Agreed.
19 points
Yeah,
against the
man,
Cowboys.
the Cowboys
they should have put
defense
more
played-
points.
No, I do credit the Cowboys for that. Dan Quinn is doing a phenomenal job with that
With-
team.
With the weapons they have, they should have scored more points. But obviously, you got to give credit to the
What
Cowboys
weapons?
defense.
I'm sorry. Wait, what weapons?
Evans.
Well, Evans, Godwin.
No, well,
Fournette.
Godwin got injured pretty early,
got-
so he left. And
Yeah,
and
but-
he was. They were dealing with their own injuries too.
yeah, their
Their
O line
their
is
O-line
like
is a
is a mess. So that helped the Cowboys
It
to just
did.
put a whole bunch
It
of
did.
pressure and make
Mhm.
Micah Parsons just.
I have no
completely
questions on
sack him.
the Dallas defense. The Dallas defense is a good defense.
I agree.
I don't know about the defense for Tampa Bay. I don't think they were as good as they were in the years past. Now, the Cowboys weren't able to score a touchdown first quarter to the third quarter, and if you can even add the fourth in there, that's pretty scary to me. Now, they just got mishandled the entire game, and if I look at the schedule, I don't see the Cowboys winning any of the games. And I might throw in the Giants, that they might be able to win that. I just don't know how the Giants are performing right now under Brian Daboll, who I think is a really good coach.
Well, let me ask you something. If Dak Prescott played better on Sunday night, would the Cowboys have won that game?
On Sunday night?
Yeah, last Sunday night.
If he
he had
played
played
better,
of
yeah.
course, yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, so they're gonna have another quarterback here, Cooper Rush, to start off with.
That's throwing the season away.
No, hold on. Dak Prescott was just playing really bad. I know Dak Prescott's better than Cooper Rush, but how Dak Prescott played Sunday, I would say Cooper Rush can play better than how Dak played on Sunday. So I think that Cooper Rush does give him a little bit of a chance because of the Cowboys defense. They are playing Washington, they're playing the Giants, and they're playing Cincinnati. Cincinnati struggled a lot with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know what happened, and here's another thing that I'm just going to say a quick thing that is kind of frustrating. The reasons that I see a whole bunch of craziness in this first week of the NFL season is because of the training camp. These players are not having enough days to train in training camp because of the bargaining agreement that they did with the union, with the players union. And a lot of teams are even sitting out their starters so throughout the preseason, which makes them not have chemistry and struggle out of week one, like if it was week one practice. So we're going to see a lot of changes throughout the season because as the season goes, a lot more chemistry is going to build. And then teams that lost in week one, like Cincinnati, is going to start being better throughout the season. So that's just something that I wanted to say.
And what happened to the plan of focusing on Elliott? Where was that?
That's how teams are. It's weird. It's like fans might be better coaches than the coaches. Yeah, we know it all, but there's something that we don't know what's going on with Zeke. Why not feed the ball to him?
I don't think it was working. I think Kellen Moore just changed it, and I think McCarthy was just like okay with it.
Pass it to Pollard. Put Pollard in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What's going on there? And just
They were underusing him for sure.
yeah, he only had 2 more carries than Zeke.
Well, they were using him really bad.
I'm sorry,
They put
the
him
other
in
way
a
around. Zeke had 2 more
More
carries
carries.
and yeah.
They were using him really awful. They did like some trick play that didn't
Trick
work.
plays, yeah.
And then they did the
it was
wild
just
card,
so
or the
bad.
wildcat, I'm
It
sorry.
was so bad.
Yeah,
It's
no.
embarrassing, and I think Kellen Moore, I think he should be out of there really soon, right?
Hidden
Might be
agenda.
this season
I
or
think
the
it's-
next one.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's, and I've been saying this for a very long time. I think Kellen Moore is the reason why the Cowboys don't change in the offensive. I don't know why McCarthy doesn't bring in his own people. Oh, I know why. The Jones said, keep Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, everybody screams for Polar to be used more in the running game, which I agree. But I did see on Sunday night the reason why the Cowboys don't use him as much as Zeke. He cannot block at all. He was just beaten every time that he was there, like super quick, and that's one of the reasons why Dak Prescott got sacked. And Zeke Elliott is a monster at blocking. He does pick up the blitzes, and he does a really good job on the blocking. He might not run as quick as he used to, but that's something that the Cowboys are struggling because of their offensive line, and they do like Zeke because he does pick up the blitzes and he does block well.
So next game, you have, or do you have them winning against the Bengals?
No, not at all.
Not
I
at
mean, it's going to be a closer game because assuming that the performance won't be as bad as his first one, not that they kind of shook off the rust, because some teams had that this past week, right? Not everyone performed up to the expectations, except for the Cowboys, obviously.
I do agree that
But-
the Bucks defense is better than Cincinnati, so the Cowboys might have a better game, and because of the defense of the Cowboys, like
Yeah.
you're saying, Aaron, they might have a better chance this season on Sunday.
Yeah, it's just, you're worried about the wide receivers, obviously, and what's up with the running backs? Fix that, But
Yeah, and I really feel that Dak Prescott might have been injured already. That was such a wussy hit on the other player's hand that made you break your
I don't
finger.
know.
No, I
He
disagree
was
with
throwing
that.
the
No,
ball
no.
pretty bad.
Just
He was-
on life
It looks-
experience, you can hit yourself
Yeah.
like on a door, like on a pillow or on a couch or whatever, and you just can mess up your finger. Maybe
Sure.
not as bad as him.
Sure, but he
on,
was
on
throwing
camera can look different from how
Yeah,
it actually
slow-mo
looks
always
like
makes
in
it
real life.
looks yeah.
I sort of agree with you that he might have been injured when they said about his ankle before, like during the week that he was practicing, and they heard like a crack, and they said it was scar tissue. But you
It was
know
like a
how
pop.
the Cowboys just tend to keep secrets, everything.
Something was up.
He
was
just
playing
played horrible.
He was playing scared, in my opinion. He was playing scared. He was throwing the ball he was forcing the ball a lot.
Well, first of all, the receivers weren't getting separation, so it was really hard to throw the ball. But Dak Prescott is not a top 5 elite quarterback. He needs help. He needs help. He needs weapons. And
Yes.
Are you good
100%.
moving on, Aaron, from Dak Prescott?
Yeah, I mean, you can't spend your whole time on him. He's a good guy, right? He's a
He has a
good
heart.
quarterback. He's a good leader, right? And you hate to see it, but if he can't really push it to the next level, you gotta move on from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm kind of seeing that from the Dallas Cowboy fans. I went to work and there are a whole bunch of Dallas Cowboy fans crying and crying and crying, and they're like, "I've been saying for years, man, let's move on from Dak. Let's move on from Dak." And I'm like, "Why, you guys?" I mean, coming from me being a Jets fan, where I can't rely on a quarterback, and I'm like, "Wow, you guys are just ready to write off Dak Prescott."
that's a good point. It's really frustrating when Cowboys just trying to, well, not Cowboys fans, just fans in general, trying to just remove their quarterback. If they have a good quarterback, it's really hard to just like move on and go to the next one, because it's super hard to find a quarterback. You just get lucky, honestly. The Kansas City Chiefs got lucky with Patrick Mahomes. The Ravens got lucky with Lamar Jackson, even though they were picked in the first round, but just how they fell down, they would have picked a lot sooner. So it's really hard to get a franchise quarterback, a top tier quarterback like Justin Herbert. So
Yeah. But you also mentioned you were hinting at maybe they should look at the draft.
no,
and
for
it's-
sure. I'm not saying that I'm just saying in general. With Dak Prescott, he has been with the Cowboys for 6 years, I believe. I believe he's going into his 7th year. So I think that's more than enough time to evaluate and see what you need. Look at the Denver Broncos. They've had like 10 quarterbacks since Peyton Manning left. It's horrible to go season by season and just see like what does this guy have? Can he make it? Can he not make it? It's a really disgusting way of watching your team trying to win. It's uncomfortable in my opinion. It is exciting when you draft a quarterback in the first round to see what they have, like the Steelers with Pickett, but it is a really uncomfortable situation to just keep moving on from quarterback to quarterback.
I'm not a firm believer in chasing the quarterback in the draft. I think it just burns in your face, especially for a team that's historically known for making those hiccups. And the Chargers got lucky with Herbert. I don't know how they landed that guy, but I mean that guy is
well,
a
he was
monster.
I believe he was like the only quarterback that was coming out in that year that was like a little bit better than like to pick up from the draft compared to other drafts. For example, what I've been seeing is a pattern with like the Browns or the Jets or teams that pick quarterbacks in the top 5, like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson right now. They're picking these quarterbacks. Oh, Trubisky is another one. RG3. There's quarterbacks that are picked in the top 5. Jared Goff. I can think of other ones that come to my head. Carson Wentz, and the quarterbacks that are drafted later on become just superstars compared to the ones that are picked top 5.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. I do. And it also has to do with your organization, who already has a team that they're picking a little higher because they already have a team. They're just needing a quarterback. Right. If someone's drafting a quarterback in the first pick, 2 pick, your team is trash. Your team is in total rebuild.
Yeah, I would just like to end for me my last opinion for the Cowboys in what quarterbacks are available if they're looking to get one would be realistically Teddy Bridgewater. He's a good quarterback. He's a good backup quarterback. I'm sure that he still can win games. He did a really good job in New Orleans. So if you just have a good coaching and put him in the right position, he can win you some games. And I would think he's better than Cooper Rush. Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think the 49ers are going to give him up. And if they do, it's going to be pretty pricey. And I don't think it's going to be worth it for like 8 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it is. And then I had another one with Huntley from Baltimore Ravens. That is a good quarterback as well, but I don't think Baltimore will let him go because Lamar Jackson's contract is not extended, so he's their insurance. And if they try to trade him, they're probably going to ask for a big price. So Teddy Bridgewater would be my pick.
My final thought would be just write it out with Cooper Rush. Next year, see your options. You probably have to trade Dak Prescott for hopefully a first round and start again with a different coach.
I'm more with Yams on that one. For sure, start with a different coach. Obviously, it's probably not going to happen because it's Jerry Jones. We might be looking at, or I would hope to see a quick offensive rebuild before we waste any more of Micah Parsons' years. Because the time is ticking, and we need to make sure that that defense is doing good. Let's fix the offense real quick. Try to do a quick rebuild. I don't know, look at the draft or something, but write it out right now, just how it is. Don't make any trades for a quarterback. Just do that. That's just my opinion. But what about in one of the bigger upsets here in this past week for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers? Boy, what a game. I watched that one, and I was just so shocked at how just bad, and man, do they need wide receivers. I don't know what happened there, and that O-line is a little bit shaky too. It seemed like Rodgers was getting just rocked left and right. The Minnesota Vikings, though, they look great. Justin Jefferson looking like he might be almost better than Cooper Kupp, maybe around the same as usual. They're clearly the number 1 and 2 right now when it comes to wide receivers, especially, in fantasy. They did amazing. I think Justin Jefferson scored like 30-something points. It was insane. But, that's exciting for the Vikings. They had a really, really good showing against the Packers. And you can see the frustration in Aaron Rodgers' face. What's going on with this team? Are the Green Bay Packers in trouble?
Yeah. That you mentioned it, that they have rookie wide receivers. The pass protection is also a problem. Now, do I write off the season? No, it's Aaron Rodgers. I definitely do think that they are going to go through some growing pains. of course, because they have some rookie wide receivers, and they drafted Watson in the second round. I know he had a drop that was pretty crucial, that was kind of in his hands. I saw that Aaron Rodgers rolled his eyes on that play, but that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen when you don't pay the best wide receiver in your team, and you let that person walk, and that is Devontae Adams. Same thing that we were just talking about the team before this is Cowboys. They let go of Cooper. I think he's still a good wide receiver, and I think that's the reason why also that Dak Prescott struggled last night. So, I mean, they're just gonna have to iron out the details. They're gonna practice, but I do believe that this team, I mentioned Aaron Rodgers, will eventually figure it out. And I think it starts with facing Chicago on Sunday, and it's at home. So I see them.
That's their spark.
Yeah,
That's
I see
winning.
that spark, and it's happening, and I think that they'll figure it out.
What about the defense, though? I thought the defense was a little bit underwhelming. They were leaving Justin Jefferson wide open. What was going on
Alexander?
there? They paid that guy millions of dollars, and boy, was that not going to work right there. Those dollars were not working there.
Yeah, the defense wasn't playing well at all. But at the end of the day, what my opinion is that the Green Bay Packers is just the garbage of an organization. You're just really throwing away Aaron Rodgers' career. It's like the Cowboys. They just are giving away like good, talented years and just trash, not trying to win. Aaron Rodgers is the reason why they go deep into the playoffs. But if you don't surround them with weapons, they're not going to win Super Bowls. Look what Tom Brady did. He went to a team that had weapons. Look what Sean McVay did for the Rams. They surrounded it with weapons and won the Super Bowl. Kansas City won because they had weapons around. So it's the same thing. Just give Aaron Rodgers some weapons and you'll be able to win. But you're not going to be able to win this way without any wide receivers. I mean, I can't believe that they let Devontae Adams go. He was the top receiver.
Yeah, for sure.
And it reminded me of Bill O'Brien when he traded off Hopkins. It's just a boneheaded move, and these are the consequences of why when you do things like that, those types of trades.
Now, it's interesting to me because they only ran it about 17 times, and they gave 10 carries to A.J. Dillon and only 5 carries to Aaron Jones. They also threw it to their running backs like around 11 times, I think. So they were really focusing on the air, really, really trying to get Rodgers working here. And they shied away from the running game. But A.J. Dillon was showing some good flashes, and we didn't get to see much, if not at all, of Aaron Jones. It's just strange to me why they're not utilizing more of their good duo running backs, because that's what they have. They have a good running back with A.J. Dillon as the number 2 and Aaron Jones as the number 1. What's going on there? You're just like putting your faith completely to Aaron Rodgers and just hoping for the best.
Well, he's clearly the best player on the team. Now, I don't know what's going on. I did hear about that. I did hear that, in fantasy, it might have been a better pickup to go with A.J. Dillon, which is weird to me because Aaron Jones is, from at least last year, was a monster before he went down. Now, the Vikings might just be a complete team. Look at all their weapons. And in my opinion, I don't think Kirk Cousins is a bad quarterback.
He just struggles in prime time.
He does, yeah. And that's when you need to win.
That's when you need to win.
Which is kind of in December and January if you make it to the playoffs.
No, in those primetime games, he's always
struggled.
He lost against Cooper Rush last year, the Cowboys. Like, really, with your weapons, it's a hard way for Green Bay to continue trying to be successful and win the Super Bowl if you do these types of things. But I looked at their schedule, and I have them still winning 10 games. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers, and they'll get it back. They'll get it back. They'll, just like he says, relax. So I'm not too much worried about Green Bay.
Yeah, neither am I.
Yeah, especially against the Bears.
Especially against the Bears, who won against a terrible Trey Lance.
Well, also the climate for that game was just crazy.
No,
it was super tough. So,
and I think he didn't play great, but it was just a tough start, right? It was a time to really where he had to prove himself in that kind of climate. but I think he deserves another chance here. It was only the first game.
Talking about Trey Lance?
Yeah.
Yeah, what they did is they forced him to throw the ball, and that's when the 49ers lost it.
In pouring rain.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, it looked like a hurricane.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was hardcore.
Yeah, and
Being there as a fan must have been kind of crazy.
yeah, I would ask for a refund.
It's not too bad. That's how it is. It's one of the risks you take when it's an open stadium.
But back to Aaron Rodgers. I think he wins in Chicago, and he still owns them.
Agreed. What about the Jets and the Ravens? They both had an interesting game. They were very kind of lame on the offense, right? They were off to a sluggish start. But I liked what I saw from the rookies. I didn't get to see the game, but I saw the highlights just like right now, not that long ago. And we saw in that group chat, one of our friends posted a little stat from Sauce Gardner. Well, I mean, just to clarify, the Jets lost, Ravens 24, Jets 9. I don't know that they should have cut Greg Zuerlein like the moment the game was over.
They're sticking
But
with him.
Sauce Gardner looked great.
If I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
I think
what's
they
his
might
name?
get Blankenship.
Blankenship. He was cut after missing one. And Greg Zuerlein missed 2, right? And awful kicks, and he's still on the team. I don't know why he's not cut. And Blankenship is, I think he's a good kicker.
Well,
I had him in my fantasy.
Yeah, better than
Zuerlein for sure. But he also had those mistakes in the game against Houston. I was watching that too. Wow, what a game!
Yeah,
Colts, man. I don't know if it was like a similar game to what the Green Bay Packers had. Same thing with the Broncos and stuff like that, where like the teams, the talent, the sheet looks like it's favoring the Colts, right? But boy, they were struggling against the Houston Texans, and maybe we're seeing something great with the Houston Texans. But anyways, we're steering away from that. Sauce Gardner, I think played tremendous. He, I forgot the stats. I don't know if you remember, Yams. But I think he only allowed like not even more than 50 yards, on man coverage, right? How does that work?
Yeah, it was 30 yards. Yeah, he did good. I'm impressed with the rookies. I really am. Sauce Gardner looked good. Garrett Wilson looked good. It really bugs me that they don't put Garrett Wilson in more. I don't know what the deal is with Matt LaFleur or Mike LaFleur. I don't know. I'm getting confused with the brothers. I'm just
the M&Ms.
I was a little disappointed in what I saw on Sunday, and
I think you were more than disappointed.
What was I, Andy?
I don't know. Like it's one of those feelings like you kind of know, but you're a little bit hopeful. But then when it just confirms what you know that's gonna happen, it frustrates the living heck out of you. So it was just a really bunch of negative feelings coming out.
I did turn off I did change the channel. Okay, I didn't want to break another TV, so I did change the channel. The season started. I don't want to be angry on Sundays. I just don't. I want peaceful Sundays.
Well, it's not gonna be peaceful. I mean, you should know this, and you should just put it in your mind. That's how it's gonna be. And if they stick with,
I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just asking for you to be in the fourth quarter and there be a game. It's okay if you lose. I don't care. I mean, I would love for them to win, but I don't want to sit there watching an embarrassment of an offense. I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of...
Specifically the offensive line.
Yes. I'm sick and tired of the offense being a no-show. I'm tired of everyone saying the Jets' defense looks great.
No, that was just because they had good picks on the draft. It doesn't... Who said it looks great?
The defense looked good.
The defense, yeah, they hold their own for the first half, and then they got tired.
Because
I mean, it was normal, of course.
It's normal.
Yeah, of course.
It's normal, but they hold the Ravens.
And I'm sure if they were closer to the game, they would have tried a little bit harder to continue being in the game. But it's also hard when you have Lamar Jackson running around trying to stop him.
I don't think Lamar Jackson. I mean, yeah, later on in the game, he did.
Yeah, It was
was
week
able to
one.
get something.
Yeah, it was week one.
So you telling me to relax, or what are you telling me?
No, I'm saying for you to I'm saying for you to understand that that's how it's gonna probably be throughout this throughout the
to
season.
Embrace
Yeah,
the horrible season. I'm gonna
exactly. And then Zach Wilson comes and then comes back, and we'll see what he can do. And
So can they have a successful season?
I don't think so. Even before Zach Wilson went down, I thought they were gonna win 7 games, and I think I was being too generous too.
honestly, the story with the Jets is always there's some kind of injuries. I mean, you guys already know that Mekhi Becton went down, right?
Right.
They went ahead and picked up Dwayne Brown.
He got injured.
He got injured, and so when Mekhi Becton came back from his injury, they had George Fant move to right tackle. I mean to left tackle, and they said, Mekhi Becton, since you're kind of looking like a bust, we're gonna put you to right tackle. He went down. And so, like, oh, crap, what do we do now? What's going to happen? They signed Dwayne Brown, and they're like, okay, George Fant, you were doing great as left tackle, but now we got Dwayne Brown, so we're going to move you back to right. And then they put Dwayne Brown in the left tackle. He goes down. George Fant moves back to left tackle, and they're like, cool, well, what are we going to do? We're just going to have to use our rookie that we drafted in the 3rd round. Or you're going to be right tackle. The offensive line, in my opinion, was bad, okay, but it wasn't that horrible. It was just Joe Flacco standing there like a statue. Like, move, run.
Don't be so mean to him. He's old.
And then he made a comment in a press conference like, yeah, there was no urgency in the huddle. Well, whose fault is that?
Yeah, that's your fault.
The leader, hello?
Yeah, you're the quarterback. You're the one that's supposed to say, what the hell, hurry up.
Yeah, exactly. Just look at some tape of Tom Brady, and it's exact.
Yeah.
And it just shows you the example that you should
Get
be.
angry.
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, the season's, like you said, it's still week in the one. That's my hopeful side. But I don't know. It could be from like Robert Saleh's press conference. It sounds like he knows that he's kind of sounding like he's on a hot seat. In other words, so
yeah, no, for sure. If they don't improve at all this season, maybe it is time to move on from Robert Saleh, and also Zach Wilson too. If he doesn't produce this season or show anything, I know it's just going to be year number 2, but you have to show something that you can do something. You can't just have a brittle quarterback just getting injured. He got injured last year, and he got injured this year. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and
in the preseason
game, like really, and no contact. And the Jets' former quarterback, Sam Darnold, he was injured every single season too. You got to move on from these guys because they're brittle, and just try to get a quarterback that just is strong and stay and be able to take some hits.
Oh, and Sam Darnold is injured right now.
Yeah,
he's injured, and the guy who came in to replace him is injured.
Yeah,
I wish I could be making this stuff up. I wish it was a joke. SNL, haha. Just kidding.
No, I'm with you.
Well, yeah, as long as the defense is looking good, I think for now they just need to focus on fixing the offense, which is, in some ways you can see that it could be similar to the Cowboys.
No, much better. What are you talking about?
Okay,
it's week 1, so I always believe that week 1 is always a little crazy, and then it starts picking up.
I thought they looked better on the running the ball, better than the Cowboys. Meaning,
yeah, I do agree with that.
Well, yeah, because you guys have like really good young running backs going on.
No, and they tried to run the ball. The Cowboys just quit running the ball. Yeah, Cowboys just here, Dak, just figure it out.
It was the same as last season. I don't know where they came with this, and I think it was Jerry Jones too, right? Didn't he say he was like, yeah, we want to focus on Elliott more. Hasn't been happening.
Yeah, you have to. You pay the big bucks. You have to pay them. You paid the man. Let's use him.
Now you're kind of forced to do it with Cooper Rush, but who knows?
You have to do it with
might
Cooper
still
Rush.
Be wrong about that.
And then why am I talking about the Cowboys?
All right, what about Greg Zuerlein?
He sucks. I think we should fire Greg Zuerlein. The punter who just punted 10 yards. I can do that. Hire me. Fire him.
The offensive line, they need to fix that too.
And see, it was bad, but I don't think it was that bad where you can't
No,
make anything happen. It was, I think I blame offensive line, yes. Joe Flacco, bad. Some of the play calls they were
Statue.
using, Mike LaFleur, I don't know. I'm just having questions about him. I know Robert Salah hired him because he's best friends of the head coach from Green Bay. So I don't know if he did like a friendly hire.
Best friends with the coach of Green Bay?
Yes.
With LaFleur?
LaFleur. Yeah, they were like the best man at their wedding or blah,
I
blah,
thought he
blah.
just brought him because they were both in the 49ers.
No, they're best friends. That Matt LaFleur was the best man for either Robert Salah's or vice versa. They're like best mans at each other's wedding. So, and that guy's a brother, so I think he did a favor. Let me hire your brother as offensive coordinator. I don't think he's cut out for it.
How awful is that, right? Hiring just because you like these guys instead of if they're good at their job, if they qualified.
Of course. And then his last name, and this guy's a head coach who I don't think he's even a good head coach, because we don't know how good he is because he has Aaron Rodgers.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I
it's
mean,
the same
why-
thing with like you, Aaron, with McCarthy.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
So it's tough. It's
It's
tough.
tough.
It's tough being a Jets fan, I believe, and for Aaron, I know that it's tough also to be a Cowboys fan.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No.
I don't think the
Yeah,
Cowboys
at least you don't
deserve
have
it.
Jerry Jones as your owner, okay?
I have a worse one. What are you talking about?
At least
Well-
you went to the AFC Championship in the last 15 years. The Cowboys haven't gone
Yes.
one in the last 27 years, I believe. Since
At least you don't get your
1995.
hopes up whenever you start off strong, or at least seem to.
But
And then
isn't it better
get
at
knocked
least
out.
you guys have had seasons where you're still in it? You're playing meaningful games in December. The Jets are like done in September.
Well-
So are they gonna? So no, they're not gonna have a successful season. That's
It's
what
week
we're-
I have
one,
to
right?
I have to
Yeah.
let them have this month
Right.
to figure it out. I have NFL Sunday ticket and I'm going to cancel it after September if they don't win a game. I'd rather just stream it in some sucky stream site and just watch it from there than
They have to replace Joe Flacco with Mike White, at least. They have to do that. They have to show some type
I was
of
gonna
spark.
say, Mike White. Is he like on the table at all? Because you did mention that Salah feels like he's gonna be maybe on the hot seat. Why would he risk that? But then again, I mean, what other choice does he have with Joe Flacco? Just being such a not good quarterback.
it's not that Joe Flacco he's just old and he has no motivation anymore. He just stands there, and I think Mike White might have more motivation to do something, run. I mean, the guy was getting sacked. Joe Flacco threw the ball for 59 times. I mean, Peyton Manning said it the other day. You don't do that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That reminded me of yesterday's game, Monday's game.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the Broncos and Seahawks. I saw the clip of Peyton Manning just absolutely frustrated with the Broncos.
Yeah.
Well, I believe everybody was frustrating. Like, you give a time out in the last minute and figure things out, and then doing a really long field goal, like half of the what is it? Almost in the 50-yard line. Yeah,
Was it 64 yards?
it was like in the 50-yard line to do a field goal. Like, really? You have Russell Wilson. That's why you traded for him, and that's why you paid him to
Everybody's saying that.
to win. No, it's because it's 100% true. It's 100% true. It's illogical. The coach looked horrible there. He even said today that looking at it again, that he should have just let Russell Wilson try to win.
That it was a very like Cowboys thing to do. They were like milking the clock, and they were just all kind of standing there. And they were like, what's going on? And nobody's calling a timeout. And like no one on the Broncos side. Everybody's just kind of standing there.
I
and
do
then you bring
wonder,
out the kicker.
could Russ? I mean, I know Russell Wilson could just like call a timeout if he wanted, but like he can listen to the coaches through his helmet. Either do you think like the coaches were telling him like just run it down all the way down, or like nobody was saying anything, and also Russell Wilson wasn't saying anything, and then he just did a timeout in the last second.
I think Russell Wilson is just a nice guy, and he didn't want to argue with the coach on the first game about going for it.
Yeah, it could be.
And he's like, I'll let you have this one, but next time I'll probably chime in.
Yeah, probably.
I think that makes more sense.
I still can't believe they lost. On paper, just like the Colts game, they should have won.
Like you said, it's week 1.
It's week 1.
Week 1, so
Yeah, it's week 1.
it is crazy. Week 1 is always crazy.
Week 2, we're going to see a little bit more of where each team is headed towards. We're going to get a better look at that, but we don't really find out fully until 3 or 4. And then we're like, all right, so this is where it's going. Yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. Back from a long break, but we're going to be back to it. Again, thank you, everyone. And anyone that's made it to the end, we hope to see you guys interacting with us on our social media, which is Football Tailgaters on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. But yeah, thank you guys again for listening, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.